Okay, this video is going to be concerning this photo. We're all aware of this photo. It's a photo taken from Southport, in England, of Blackpool and the mountains there behind it, which are in North England into southern Scotland, I think. The mountain we're focusing on is this one here, called Dow Craig, right? As you can see, the tip of Dow Craig comes across to meet about here on the tower, right? Now, we all know the story behind this, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. Basically, the argument from our opposing side is that because the angular size, the height of the mountain in relation to the tower means that the mountain should be visible above the tower from this person's location if the earth is flat. Now, I have destroyed this in the past, and I'm going to link some videos concerning what I did in the past. I won't link all of them because there's ones from way back, and I'll link 3 videos. That's all that will be needed. Because anything from way back will be in those videos that I made about a year ago, maybe a bit more. But this argument turned up in 2021, and it involved different personalities within the arena, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into all the rubbish and drama. This is the thing. This photo will either be the making or breaking of a globe Earth. And I'm going to show you why. Recently, a pretty well-known and big globe Earth channel, who I'll link the video of in the description with the other videos, he covered, I'm pretty sure, I think it was this video here of mine. This is one of 3 videos I have, where I point, as part of several things, right, that I go through, I point out something that was pointed out in 2021, is that if this was because just to give a little bit of background, we were being told that because the angular size of the mountain Dow Craig is greater than the angular size of the tower, right? Now, the angular size of the tower being used was from ground level here. It wasn't from sea level. If you bring in the sea level, and this is what I did, I got this from one of our opposition, this wasn't from flat earthers, that if you bring in sea level, then you do add several meters, I think it's 7 meters or something more, onto the true height, what would be the true angular height of the tower, because the mountain's angular size is being determined from its sea level to its peak height, which is 2,550 feet. Whereas when we're doing the angular height size comparison with the tower, we're using only from its base here on street level up to its top, which is 518 or 520 feet. So we should be technically adding in more height to it. But it doesn't matter, right? Because angular size is the thing. This is the killer. The point I made in the video that I made a year ago, right, was a point that has been made many times, and I've made it to do with perspective and the globe, and many people made it throughout the years. And that is, perspective does not exist within globe mathematics. There is no, that was what was hijacked. All globe mathematics, all Earth curve mathematics are orthographic. So there is no perspective included. Everything is either Earth curve or it's not anything. Do you know what I mean? There is no anything other than Earth curve. Doesn't exist. So angular size change doesn't exist within their world. And what was being pointed out, this was pointed out by Adam Meakin in 2021 during the whole Blackpool Photo debacle, and I showed this in a pretty long debate I had on the topic at the time, was that if you take in what would be the remainder, right, in feet of the mountain after it had gone over the Earth curve of a globe of radius 3,959 miles, and then added in an angular size to that remainder. And this is something that this YouTuber, Simon Dan, I may as well name him, in a video he made concerning me recently addressing this photo, he didn't seem to understand what was being said in the video because he was too busy maybe thinking that he just knew better, right? The point being made is, if you're claiming that R curve and perspective exists, right, which is double dipping, right, then that means that the remainder of what would be the remainder in feet in height, right, above the globe's R curve edge, right, if you take the angular size of that, then that would mean we're adding in perspective into a paradigm that doesn't exist. That's the first thing it would mean. But just to make a point, it's worth doing sometimes, just to make that point. Even though it doesn't exist within that paradigm, to make the point, it would mean that the actual tip of the mountain, if R curve and angular size change, which is part of perspective, exists, then this tip here of the mountain would be where this orange line is, maybe actually slightly below, right? That's where it would be, right? Because that would be its angular size. Now, but that is using an angular size still over a flat plane, because the angular size we're going to take of the tower is going to be pre-assuming a horizontal line between the observer and the base of the tower here, right? The angular size we're going to take of the mountain is going to presume a horizontal line between the observer and the point at sea level where the mountain starts, right, up to its top. And the same for the tower, and it would be the same here. So this measurement that would work out here, this angular size measurement that would place the tip of the top of the mountain here, would actually be more than what you would see, because we're dealing with parallel zeniths, because that's what we use in reality, right? If you bring in the amount of lean away that would be there, would be the divergence of those two zeniths on a globe, then that decreases the amount of angular size that would be there, right? So this orange line really, right, if we were to really do it honestly, which I'll show in a minute, the orange line would even be further down. So if you're claiming that the Earth's a globe, and this somehow proves a globe, and it's not the perspective effect of visual, also known as photographic occultation, which is what I stated from day one, right? And I have a challenge video concerning this photograph that I will link in the description of this video, hoping that Simon Dan, the man who covered me last week, covers this challenge video and takes on the challenge, right? That I've stated from day one why this is happening, and it's purely an effect of perspective called visual occultation. It can't be seen orthographically. It can only be seen in front-on perspective. But we don't view things orthographically other than on a piece of paper or on a computer screen, because it's two-dimensional. We view things in 3 dimensions and with perspective. But globe or curve of mathematics is only 2-dimensional. They don't have 3-dimensional or curve mathematics. The mathematics are based on 2 dimensions, right? There is no perspective involved. Now, no matter how they try and make it happen, there isn't. Proof is that all you have to do is go to Metabunk, and you will see there was no in any R curve calculation that they tried to come up with. Perspective is not part of it. Everything is about how much something went over the curve of a globe. Blah blah blah. All perspective effects, including but not exclusively to angular size change. Including but not exclusive angular size change, is one of them. Right, with distance. Sorry. So, in reality, this orange line would actually be lower if perspective and R curve existed, right? So, I'm going to show that now. So, this is the absolute nuke of the globe concerning this Blackpool photo. The absolute nuclear bomb for the globe. And the reason is that back when this first came out, right, I'm going to go to this photograph because it's a bit clearer. Back when this first came out, a big YouTuber on the globe side called Conspiracy Cats, who people in this arena would know who this man is, but new people may not. This man said, when he was making the argument concerning this photograph, he said, "We'll give you a flat earth for the angular size of the mountain." It's like, of course you will, because you require the Earth to be flat to measure something, the angular size of something, especially something well, there is no angular size is perspective. That doesn't exist in the globe paradigm. So it doesn't matter if something is close or far, it doesn't exist. So there is no angular size change. The chair at the other side of the room cannot get smaller with distance when you walk over to the other side, because that doesn't exist in a globe paradigm if we lived on a globe. That is how ridiculous that actually is. It's not me, it's literally me. It's not me making it up or trying to make it sound ridiculous. That is the level of ridiculum we're dealing with concerning heliocentrism and the globe paradigm. Now, the thing is that he said that, and I was reminded only today by Nathan Oakley that, I think it was today or yesterday, that after he said that, he literally handed over his channel to MC Toon, more or less, and kind of just disappeared. Because he knew that this was the last stand he had, that this photograph was the last stand he had. There isn't anything else. This was the last attempt at hijacking perspective that he could come up with. And even for this, he had to admit, right, like on the front page of a newspaper, as Nathan would also say, get the dirty laundry out there on the front page. He said, we'll give you, or I'll give you a flat Earth for the angular size measurement. Because he knew there's no way to take the angular size measurement without treating the Earth as flat. Because that line, that, let's just say that I bring to the base of the Blackpool Tower here, up to its top, that line has to be parallel with mean sea level, which means mean sea level must be, right, with level, it's due to mention it anyway, but mean sea level must be a horizontal, because that line has to be parallel to it for me to take an angular size of this tower, of this roller coaster, of this mountain, right? He knows that. He knew that then, and he knows it now. And it's very likely that's a big part of the reason why he disappeared. I don't know for certain. That is what people say. But I'm only bringing it up because of what he said. Could be wrong, maybe it's other issues, maybe it's work, whatever, right? So I don't want to say I know for definite. But it was pretty strange. But he did state that he'd give us a flat Earth for the angular size measurement of the mountain. So, after all that has been spoken about, where are we now? It's very simple. The actual nuclear bomb for this photograph concerning the globe is very simple. If we take Blackpool away completely and we just have the mountain. Now, to figure out that this mountain is 2,550 feet high, because here it is, Dow Craig, right? I'll show you. 2550, right? How they figure out a lot of these mountain heights, right? And it doesn't matter whether they add a little bit or take a little bit away over time. The main way that they figure out mountain heights, and I'll show this in another video, I'll actually link, a very important video I'll link that I made only recently concerning Mount Everest and its angular size, and what it would appear to be over a globe if angular size existed in that paradigm, which it doesn't. But I double dip simply just to make the point. The point being is that how they figure out the heights of all these mountains is through angular size measurements, which means that the angular height, right, from down here, the sea, right, up to the top of this mountain, they must be able to equate that angular size, right, which means they need to have a situation where they have parallel zeniths and a horizontal that are vertical, two vertical parallel zeniths, right? I don't know of any other types other than the nonsense they claim in globe paradigm world, and a horizontal baseline, that they must determine that the actual height of this mountain here off of sea level is X amount of feet or meters or miles or kilometers based off of that angular size, because they've been using angular size to determine the heights of things at distances for a long time. All they would need to know is how far away they are from the mountain. So let's just say if they were here doing this measurement and they knew that, let's just say this is sea level, this is a mean sea level here, right? I don't know if it is for that area, but let's say it is exactly mean sea level, and they know that they're, let's say this photograph was taken from 52 miles away from this mountain, but let's just say they're 40 miles away from this mountain, and they take an angular size measurement of the mountain here, and they have the angle, they have their 90 degrees, which they'll have right, at the GP of the mountain, and they have their angle here, right, and they know the length that they're adjacent. So that will give them, right, the length of their hypotenuse and the length of their opposite, right? That's what it'll give them. And they can take that from different locations and different elevations. So let's just say they were at a higher elevation, and that was about this far up the mountain, let's just say. Let's just say they were 700 feet up. And they took another angular size measurement of the remainder above that horizontal they make at 700 feet up. Then they then determine that the remainder of the mountain is X amount of feet based off that angular size measurement. The point being is that we use angular size measurement, which requires Earth to be flat, over large distances to determine the heights of mountains. And we do it from all different locations and elevations to the same mountains to make sure that there's an overall understanding of the height, of the basic height of the mountain. Now, they can try to bring in other things outside of that to help them determine heights and different things, and that's all very well, use of radio and the use of light and different things like that. But the main way we've always done is angular size, right? So, which brings me to the issue with Dow Craig. So, we know from, let's say, Google, that they say that Dow Craig is 2,552 feet high, right? And Blackpool Tower from the base is supposedly on the road is 518 feet. But we'll completely ignore Blackpool Tower for a minute. That's only 12 miles away from the observer. And we'll focus on Dow Craig, right? Which is 2,550 feet. So, very simple. Here we have a circle with a radius of 3,959, right? Sorry. Here we have an arc length of 51.96, which is just 52 miles. Here we have an observer. Now, because I needed a tangent, I had to place the observer right at the tip of, right on the circle. Now, the observer was actually 20 feet above what would be that circle, right? But just to make things easy, I placed the person at the tip. It doesn't matter. You can add in the difference if you want to do it yourselves. That won't make a difference to the overall. The difference will be so minute that it'll make no difference in the end of the day to the argument. It's only 20 feet of an elevation. As I said, you can do it yourselves. I could have made a second circle that was 20 feet larger than this and put the tangent there. Could have done that, but it doesn't matter. It's 20 feet of elevation, right? We're talking about 52 miles, which is 274,560 feet. So 20 feet of elevation, right? I'll put up with that. I'll put up with that little discrepancy because it's not going to change the overall, right? Here we have this green line, right, which is slightly leaned back, right? And that has a length of 0.4832, which is 0.48, right, slightly more than what the Dow Craig is in miles. So 2,550 feet is 0.482954, right, 55 in miles, right. So I have here as 0.4832, so it's just slightly more. So here I have a tangent from that point, right, and remember, if this red line was 20 feet up higher, it wouldn't help matters for this at all. It would actually make things worse now that I see it. If I raise this red line 20 feet up, like put another circle there and put a tangent to that circle, that's a circle that's 20 feet greater than 3959, then that's actually going to make this angle even more shallow. So I've actually made this slightly higher than it actually is. It wouldn't matter. I can bring it down in length if I need to. There's only a very small amount in it. If I just go to here, all right, sorry, let's go to here, bring it down to, now that, right, but that's not going to make much of a difference. It's like I actually was, by doing this and having it up at 0.48, where are we, 3, let's go back, probably shouldn't have moved it. Right, let's just say it like that, right? It's not going to help the Maros, right? Help Maros, because the reason I'm saying it's not going to help Maros, I'm just going to make sure it's length. Yeah, it's good enough. Length away enough. the reason it's not going to help matters is if we go to here, this is the angle, right? Sorry. Keeps on doing that. Right? This angle here, 0.157, right? Now, 0.157 is the angle of the tangent here, right? Now, that's if our curve and perspective existed together. What the person would get if they were taking an angular size of Dale Craig from 52 miles away, right? And they could see to Dale Craig, right? The point is that if they're taking an angular size of Dale Craig 52 miles away, in reality, then if the Earth's a globe, then Dale Craig, right? Now this is pre-assuming, as I have to say to bring out the caveat again, pre-assuming the perspective exists in globe paradigm, which it doesn't. But as I said, I'm going to show the implications of our curve and perspective existing together, and how it absolutely annihilates these people. So that would mean that Dale Craig would have to have a constant 0.1573 degrees of angular size from places far away as southward, right? Now, there's a problem there, and that problem is, that I've lost my way. That's what the problem is. Sorry. That problem is that this angle here, angle A, right, up here, is 0.532. Because that's the actual angular size of Dale Craig from 52 miles away. Here we have the height, which is at A, 2550. The length of B, which is adjacent, at 274560. Right? And then we have the angle A here, which is here, of 0.532. Right? So 0.532, if I just take this, right, 0.532, right, minus, 1 second now, I'm just going to get back up that, what was the, 0.1573, all right, let's just say, 0.1573 equals 0.3744. So there's a discrepancy when we actually take an angular size, including of Dale Craig, from 52 miles away, including our curve, right? So we're giving them their paradigm, we're giving them perspective for the purpose of this, not that they have it. It means that there's a discrepancy of 0.3747 of a degree, right? That's degrees, sorry. That's the discrepancy. That's a massive discrepancy from 52 miles away. Massive discrepancy. Now, we know that's not true. We know, right, that something that's 52 miles away from you, is it this one? Or I keep losing it. We know that something that's 52 miles away from you that has a height of 2,550 feet will have an angular size of 0.532. We know that. So how am I getting this angle here when I'm working with the dimensions of the globe and I'm using, I'm working with the dimensions of the globe, if I could just come out here, and I'm using exactly what they would have to use if the Earth was a globe and perspective existed. This is all really dodgy because they don't even have a horizontal. They don't have any of this, but it doesn't matter. As I said, I'm using their crazy paradigm and their idiot responses and their idiot positions, and I'm giving them perspective for this, and it's destroying them. So if you want to prove, right, here we go, this is the thing. This is for the ballers. If you truly want to prove that this photo doesn't prove a flat Earth and proves a globe, then you've got to go and be 52 miles away and measure the angular height of Dale Craig, and you must get 0.153 or 1.573 or whatever it was. You must get what I show, because you can't. For angular size measurements, you can't use diverging zeniths, but you're going to have to address the diverging zenith issue because even in this, it's not using diverging zeniths. What I'm showing here, it's actually determining the angle between this red line and this purple line, which won't give, because there's a little lean here, it won't give a correct height to this little part here, because there's a slight lean to it. So even if, so technically there's a separate line that's not seen here, that's going between these 2 points. That's actually a vertical, because this one is not vertical, it's slightly lean on it. But it's the lean here, right, the diverging zenith here, that creates a major problem as well, because it's the full lean of this. So you've got a lot of problem on our opposing side with this photograph, because to show that this is not happening on a flat earth, and to prove it's happening on a globe, you've literally got to debunk angular size at distance. That's the actual implication of it. You've got to show that this mountain doesn't have an angular size of 0.5, what is it? Right, that doesn't have an angular size of 0.532 or something very similar, something very close. You've got to show that, because using the dimensions of the distance and the height of the mountain, then the mountain must have a 0.532 degree angle from that distance. Its angular height, that would be that's the height, that would be that would match the opposite height that's being measured here. You've got to show that that angle is wrong. You've got to show that the angle is 0.1 blah blah blah, as I show with the dimensions, a correct geometric dimensions of a globe earth, because there is no way around it. You either have to disprove that angular size measurements, right, are using parallel zeniths, and and that 2,550 feet of a vertical height, vertical wouldn't exist in your globe, is not going to be 0.532 degrees at 274,560 feet away, which is 52 miles. So how are you going to do that? You've got to literally debunk that if someone decides from Southport or somewhere close by to take an angular size of Dow Craig, you've got to debunk that based off of their distance, that they will get something close to 0.53 whatever degrees. How are you going to do that? You've got to literally debunk angular size at distance. That's what you've got to debunk. So you literally have to debunk perspective and include perspective, and re-include perspective with your Earth curve, and then reinvent perspective and reinvent angular size measurement off a tangent or some nonsense, like, to do any of this. So I don't know how you're going to do it, but all I know is that if I had a big sponge and I could wipe away Blackpool here, and the person could take an angular size to the top of that mountain there, if they have to get 0.13 whatever or 12 whatever in degrees for your globe to mean anything. And just so you know, the tower, right, the angular size of the tower 12 miles away is 0.47, and that's just the tower from the ground up, from the road level up, street level up, 0.47 degrees. So the point being is that this tower here has an actual angular size measurement. This mountain has an actual angular size measurement, and you've got to debunk both of those. You've got to, on our opposing side, you've got to debunk both of them. Maybe Simon Dan, the man who made a go at me in one of my videos recently, maybe he can try debunking them, or maybe taking on the challenge, the video that I made a year or more ago, that I'll place into the description. The point being is that I don't know how you're going to do this, because either you debunk the existence of angular size measurement at distance, and you debunk that this mountain that's 2,550 feet high will have an angular size of 0.53 whatever degrees at 52 miles away, or I don't know what you're going to do. Because if you can't debunk that, then this photo absolutely proves, without a shadow of a doubt, once again, that the Earth is most definitely flat. Take care. Thanks for watching.